A 17-foot deep sinkhole opened up in Holyoke right next to the St. Patrick's Parade route. Contractors with United Water told 22 News a 54-inch sewer pipe broke, causing the sidewalk to cave in. The ground was soft due to recent rain. The area around the sinkhole, which is located near the corner of Resnick Boulevard and Beach Street, needs to be stabilized before crews can begin work. The incident comes at a very inconvenient time for city workers as crews are busy making preparations for this weekend's St. Patrick's Parade and the road race.
I don't know if they're going to get that fixed by Sunday. I don't think so.
Well, the hole is covered for now and should no longer pose any danger to the public or the parade.
Milwaukee police are on the scene of a sinkhole that's developing on Milwaukee's south side. It's on South 12th Street between Cleveland and Harrison. And as you can see, it's about the size of a car parking space. They've got orange cones protecting it until the Department of Public Works can get here and take care of it and repair it. We're told by our crews on the ground there that it's about a foot deep that has sunk so far. Above the scene in News Chopper 12, Matt Salemi for WISN.com.
Golfer is lucky to be alive today after being swallowed by a sinkhole. I mean, we have a sinkhole story like every couple of days, right? He was in the middle of a golf match and he literally disappeared. 43-year-old Mark Mihal fell 18 feet. 18 is the magic number, I guess, on the golf course, right? And it just gave way beneath him. His only injury was a dislocated shoulder. It really could have been much worse for this guy.
It was dark. Finally, my eyes got used to the light. I looked around. It was sort of like a cave, you know. There was room in there. It wasn't confined, which was nice. But looking down, it looked like it was going to go down further. You know, it looked like I wasn't at the bottom.
It's like a nightmare that you're falling and falling. This guy lived it, as we've seen other people do in the past few weeks, right? Fox St. Louis reporter Betsy Bruce has an in-depth look at how this happened.
One golfer thought his friend Mark Mihal had stumbled and fallen down the hill. He vanished so quickly. A second, just 15 feet away, turned and saw no sign of his friend. It was almost as if the earth had swallowed Mark and closed over the hole.
The tear, and it looked like carpet, but that was the zoysia grass. And so he started yelling. He heard Mark in there. He goes, "He's down in this hole."
Ed Magaletta became the hero of the day, but he credits divine intervention for the fact he had left a flashlight in his pocket from the night before. Golf course owner Russ Nobby brought a 12-foot ladder to the scene, and that's what Magaletta climbed down.
They were there so quick that it was amazing. And maybe we should have waited for the first responders, but I didn't think we had a choice. I think we wanted to get him out of there because of the uncertainty of what a sinkhole is all about. I don't think it wasn't a life or death situation at that point. It got a little tenuous when I was down there by myself, and I was like, I got out of that hole so quick. I didn't wait for the rope to come down.
Annbriar's maintenance staff widened out the sinkhole to be sure nobody else would fall in on a weak spot.
It would have collapsed, presumably in the next rain. This was just really bad luck. And I dare say you all wouldn't be here if there hadn't been a person in there. These things happen. Sinkholes form in farmers' fields around here several times a year. There's no press conference.
Well, Ted Corliss is a sinkhole trial attorney. Who knew that such a thing existed, right? He's golfed on this same course. Ted, welcome. Good to have you here today. You get a lot of these cases, and how do they work out? Do people get compensation for these?
Well, here in Florida, we have to deal with all kinds of weather, everything from hurricanes to sinkholes to waves to anything. And so there's a lot of disputes between insurance companies and homeowners about issues like this. That's why we have to deal with them so frequently. Yeah.
You've played on this course. Do you think this man has a case against the course? Who would be sued? The course, I would assume.
Well, actually, what we've come to understand is we believe that because the sinkhole opened up there, that they may have selected a new pope. That's how we're interpreting it.
That's good.
Or the other suggestion might have been that Al Gore actually was responsible for the creation of the sinkhole. I don't know. Most of the time when we're dealing with these issues, they have to deal with the, when sinkholes like this cause traumatic damage to homes. And when there are disputes between homeowners and insurance companies over whether or not there are sinkholes or what the kind of damage is or how they would go about repairing them.
Well, since you're telling jokes, there's a hole in one, but there was definitely one in the hole in this case, right? On the golf course.
Right.
Chills up your spine. Those men, they're staring into this deep sinkhole that opened up right under their friend as he was playing golf.
It swallowed him up and led to a risky rescue. The dramatic drop happened on a golf course in Waterloo, Illinois.
This story is the talk of St. Louis today, and we talk exclusively with the man who survived this scare. News Channel 5's Talia Kaplan tracked him down today. She's live at the Annbriar Golf Course. Talia?
And Kay, Mark Mihal is an avid golfer. He says he loves it here. He comes here often. He was here on Friday golfing with friends for the first time this year. They were in the middle of the game when things took a dramatic turn.
That was the initial thought. I was like, man, this is it.
It sure wasn't the hole-in-one Mark Mihal of Creve Coeur was expecting.
Well, I was just in shock.
This husband and father of two was playing golf Friday with friends at Annbriar Golf Course. They were on the 14th hole in the middle of the fairway when Mihal noticed something unusual.
The fairway had lots of moguls and mounds in it, and I saw this depression, and I was like, well, that's interesting, so I went over there to check it out.
The next thing he knew, he was in the ground. Mihal fell about 15 feet into the sinkhole, landing in a big pile of mud.
It was just darkness down there, so, I was like, just someone get me out of here now.
He says he immediately went into survival mode.
Thank God I was playing with a foursome. I was probably 15 feet away from my buddy Mike, who we were talking about it, and then all of a sudden I was gone. He heard moaning, he said, and he looked back, and I just disappeared.
His friends called the clubhouse asking for a ladder and rope. They all knew time was of the essence. So one of his friends, Ed Magaletta, jumped in himself.
And I knew he couldn't get up the ladder by himself. And the longer he stayed down there, the worse it was. So I felt that somebody had to do it.
Magaletta put a splint around his arm and tried to do whatever he could to help his friend.
They put a rope around me, pulled me out from the top, and then he helped me. He pushed me from the bottom.
20 minutes later, Mihal was back on solid land.
My arm was killing me, but I was just happy to be on ground. See the sunlight, and thankful that I wasn't hurt worse.
We are sorry this happened here. It is an extremely unfortunate event, an event we feel is an act of nature. We don't feel there's any way we could have foreseen this happening.
Do you think you'll ever golf again?
I hope so. I love it. I probably will. I don't know if I can play that course or that hole again. It's so freaky that we're still amazed. We can't believe that just happened.
Mihal now has a dislocated shoulder. He had an MRI today, and he's waiting to find out if he needs to get surgery. Now, this golf course is open to the public with the exception of hole number 14. The general manager here says it's safe, and geologists say the odds of something like this happening here again are very slim. Live in Waterloo, Talia Kaplan, News Channel 5.
It's just a few short steps down to an incredible underground site.
And this was the original cavity that eventually collapsed in.
A massive sinkhole carved out of solid limestone by drops of water.
So this is what a sinkhole looks like from the inside?
From the inside, yes, before you fill it up with sand and dirt.
And if someone were living right on top of this, they'd be at risk?
Yes.
Geologist Jerry Black says Sunshine State homeowners might be surprised to find out just how common these are.
What are the chances of someone having a house in Central Florida and living on top of something like this?
Very good. Not probably as close to the surface as this, but you definitely have cavities of this size all over the state of Florida.
Fossils found in this sinkhole show it's been around since the Ice Age, but no different, Black says, than the sinkholes we see opening up today. These are just a few of his pictures. The one thing they all have in common is water.
Rainwater is going to turn into groundwater, and that's what's naturally acidic. That's the device that dissolves the limestone and will help create these cavities.
What is unusual about this sinkhole? It's easy to get inside. Called the Devil's Den, it's open to tourists for viewing and diving. Dive instructor Prince Johnson takes me under for a look. I find that this seemingly placid pool of water is anything but.
The water has gone down considerably because of the aquifer, but it has also risen when we've had hurricanes and tropical storms. It has risen another 45 feet.
45 feet?
45 feet.
So the water's constantly going up and down?
Yeah, up and down.
Depending on drought or hurricane?
Correct.
Down here, it's easy to see how fluctuating groundwater has silently wreaked havoc. I passed by limestone boulders as big as cars sitting on the bottom. And these same forces are still at work. compounded by the demand for fresh water.
It is progressively dropping yearly, and that's basically over the whole state of Florida. The aquifer is getting lower and lower.
Perhaps most striking to me, how appearances of this sinkhole are so misleading. A single beam of sunlight reveals the cavern is even bigger below the water line, with tunnels and passageways carved deep into the darkness.
It's incredible to see like that, David. I mean, do you know like how deep that one is, and also how many there are in Florida?
Well, there are thousands across the state of Florida, literally thousands that pop up every single year. The state keeps a loose track of them. People call in to report them when they happen. But think about this. We were talking about how deceptive these things are when you look at their size. There's much more to this cavern below the water level than there is actually up here where I'm standing. But look up here up top. The hole that opened up when this sinkhole was formed, you see the size of that. Now you see how deceptively large this whole cavern is underneath it. So when you see a sinkhole opening up on the surface, there's so much more going on down below that we never see.